Come on.
They're right there!
Let's go. Move, 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 move. This episode of Choices Not Chances podcast is sponsored by Louisiana Gun Shop, located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette. For more information, stay tuned at the end of this episode. This is Choices Not Chances podcast with Ryan and Matt. I'm your co-host, Matthew Charette. Sitting next to me is Ryan Rogers. Ryan.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back. Appreciate you being here. If anything resonates with you and needs to be shared out, make sure that you're sharing it out. We want those active hitters, TDG in these things, these stories, because that's what they are, but they're real stories that you can use for the future. Today, my guest is Larry Briar. Larry is a retired First Sergeant, grunt Marine, and did a couple of things in Fallujah, a couple of tours in Fallujah, a couple of tours other places, and we're going to get it out and get it out there for you guys to hear today. Lessons learned, let's just call it that. Larry, thanks for coming out. I know that we've been kind of jumping around a little bit. I had some sickness in the family and then death in the family, and then I double booked. So I appreciate you being patient with me and showing up, showing out, and laying this down for the guys to hear.
Yeah, man.
Welcome on.
Thank you.
So, let's just start in the beginning. I know we've been talking offline a little bit. We got, some things to cover for sure, but let's start in the beginning. And where do you come from? Family culture and siblings, sports, things of that nature.
Yeah, I lived in Michigan, growing up in Michigan. So I got a big history of family in the military. My uncle was a Marine. Both grandpas were a Marine, and then also my dad was in Vietnam, and his dad was in the Army as well. So I just want to keep that tradition alive. And then my little brother joined the Marine Corps 8 years after I did too, as well. So and then he was a Master Sergeant too. So, but yeah, I just want to keep the tradition alive. In my family as far as supporting the military, and I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to be the best, so that's what I did.
Yeah. So growing up, did you play sports?
Yeah, of course I did. I played baseball, football, and wrestled. I played baseball all year round. That was probably my best sport, and yeah, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. I played football, baseball. I wrestled as well. Those were my big three. I enjoyed them. And now I coach baseball. So
awesome!
Not so much of a football coach. I think my brother took the cake on that. But yeah, I love baseball and then wrestling. I think that's great for a young man coming up. My son's going to wrestle as well as soon as he gets a little bigger.
Yeah.
A little older. But that's great. I think there's a lot to be learned about life from sports growing up, and a lot of the guys that I talk to, a lot of the just, like in my estimation, the guys that were great leaders and impactful leaders in my experience, or to me, they happen to be those guys. And then coaches that impacted me later. There's tons to learn from sports and stuff.
Yeah, I think that competitive nature really drives you, in life.
100%. I think that not only that, but I think that, depending on when you engage in sports, for me, it was very young, like
right.
T-ball, right?
Right.
But outside of siblings, those are some of the first people you learn to lead or to follow, depending on, your
right.
position on a team. And the earlier you can get your kids leading other peers, the better, in my opinion.
Sure.
That we do that in the Marine Corps. As soon as you come in, you're going to be leading something, a sand table range, a rock walk, and it's probably way over your head. And that's okay.
Yep. Right.
So, and the Marine Corps does a phenomenal job of putting those, putting junior guys in those positions. That way, later on, it's not overwhelming. You want it to be overwhelming in training, not later on. So, yeah, sports. So, did you have siblings too?
Yeah, I did. I got a brother who's 12 months younger than me, and he lives in New York. And then I was talking about my little brother. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2019. He was just a quick story, but anyways, he was a Master Sergeant stationed in Camp Pendleton, and it was September 22nd, 2019, and they're at the beach at Del Mar, and two kids got stuck in a riptide. He went out to save the kids, but he drowned. So,
yeah. Yeah, I know we talked about that offline, and I had read that article, and man, that's yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's,
man.
There's something that he did die like a hero. I mean, he died saving somebody else's life, which goes right in lockstep with his career.
Right.
But that's tough, man. I read about that and seen that on the news, and that's hard. That's hard. That's a hard thing. You said it's 2019, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, God, that sucks. What about when did you start? When did you come in?
Oh, I came in the Marine Corps August 1992.
92.
Yep.
Okay, so 92, and when did you retire?
I retired in 2013.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into that. What would you say the catalyst was? It sounds like family service and tradition.
Yeah, I'd say definitely.
Because you didn't have 9/11, you didn't have any big American catalyst.
No.
So it was more, hey, this is a family.
Yeah, it was a family thing, and also too, I wanted to get outside Michigan and see different things and experience different things and stuff like that. And at the time, I don't think college is for me. I didn't like studying. So I was more worried about the time, girls and sports. Honestly,
Yeah. Check. So you go in right out of high school, I assume.
Yep.
All right. So right out of high school in Michigan. So you're coming down to Parris Island.
No,
go out west?
No. At the time, we were going to California.
Okay.
So yeah, I went to MCRD San Diego, did my time there. Matter of fact, which is crazy, one of my drill instructors was Sergeant Major Barrett. He's a staff sergeant at the time. So yeah, that was fun.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, so take me through where you go to Parris Island, you go to SOI. Who's your first unit you checking into?
Well, I did security forces for about less than a year and a half because I was in Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah.
So it shut down, and then I got orders to 2-4.
Okay.
And then after we get back from Cuba, or maybe we're during Cuba, I can't remember. I think when we came back, we switched to 2-6.
What's that?
We switched to 2-6.
Okay.
Yeah, so it went from 2-4 to 2-6. So we get back from Cuba.
So you did Cuba with 2-4?
Yes.
Okay, so you're like standing mop post?
Yeah, it was like the Cuban. It wasn't really mock post, I would say. It's more we're just doing peacekeeping missions.
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, at the time there was a local organization that was trying to overthrow the government.
Okay.
So I know the ambassador probably contacted the White House, whatever, and said they need help. The embassy needs some help. So we went there for like 3 months, whatever, and basically just doing peacekeeping missions. Nothing happened as far as like weapons wise or anything like that. It was more like throwing rocks at you and stuff like that. So
yeah, but you had like a mass of people at the gate or at the embassy.
Yeah,
what?
I mean, there's always crowds there. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people there. I mean, we just like we had our baton sticks, the shields,
less lethal.
Yeah, non-lethal crap. So
yeah,
it sucked.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Yeah, I get it. I was in Cuba in 2005.
Okay,
but I had the mop standing, post standing, interdicting Cuban asylum seekers kind of thing. So
right.
it was lame. We got good training on though.
I got you.
So cool. So you come out of that and you go to 2-6, you said?
Yeah.
So 2-4, 2-6. Now you're over here, and what's that looking like?
So when I get into 2-6, I think in 95, if I remember correctly, 95, 96, we went on to a med float. And then that's when Bosnia was going on.
Okay.
So we did basically we did some good training the first couple months, and then after that we pretty much stuck on ship doing gator squares. So, but we practiced, unloading the tracks. Like we're gonna go into Bosnia, which we never did because they sent an Army brigade there. I remember correctly. So yeah, we just did. We just did that, and then when we got back from there. We went to Panama. That's when they got rid of the security forces out of Panama, and they wanted some kind of presence there in Panama. So we went there for I think like 4 or 5 months. I can't remember specifically how long it was. So we just did a lot of training there, and then after we came back from there, I did Super Squad.
Okay, now talk about that a little bit because that's something like my op tempo. I guess when I was coming up was we were just always in and out of the Middle East. And I never got to participate in that, but it's something that I find very cool that
Yeah.
I didn't get to participate in.
Yeah, I mean, during the war, there's no super squad going on. So how it was back then, I'm not sure about now. You had a battalion competition. At the time, Gunner Waroff was our gunner at 2-6, and by far the battalion competition was the hardest thing hardest competition that we went through for division. For regiment division. So we did that, won that.
You won for the division?
We won for the division.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we won regiment, then we won division. After you win division, you go up to Virginia and do an evening parade, and then before the evening parade, the commandant will give you your super squad badge. He would also give you, I think we got our NAM then too. I can't remember. We got our NAMs then too as well.
Oh yeah.
I think the biggest. I don't think we got the NAM then. It was just the badge.
Okay.
And then on the badge, it has your name, what year you won, and then it was pretty cool though, man. And then
Now, what kind of ranges are we talking? Like, what was involved?
So it was everything. Like, so back in the day, back there, we're doing more, more stuff for like preparing for the Soviet, really. So we're doing, offense, defense kind of stuff, more in the field. So, he also had an endurance run. I think it was like 25 clicks or something like that. We had that. And then you're carrying your pack, whatever load we had in there. I can't remember what it was. And then we had to do call for fire. We also had to do some marksmanship stuff as well. And then probably the biggest thing for the squad is just doing the order. How good he was doing, how good they were doing the order, as far as getting information out. Our squadron is really good at orders. So we did that, man, and we won, and then we came back from there. And then I think we went to Okinawa on the UDP.
And that was with 2-6.
Yeah, that was 2-6. Yeah.
And all this is pre 9/11. But that's something that I hear, some of the older guys talk about, some of the generation before me, the super squads and going up. I think that's dope.
Yeah,
and
it's
if
awesome.
they're not doing it, are they doing it now? Are they back doing it?
I talked to a Marine from 2-6 not too long ago. He ran into him fishing and said they're doing it, but they just did it at the battalion level. So I'm not sure if they're doing it at the division level anymore. It doesn't sound like it. I'm not really sure, but I tell you, for me, anyways, like, because I was a young Lance Corporal as a team leader, and that really developed me as far as physical. I was always a physical fit, natural runner, so that was simple. But as far as tactic wise, and just leading a team and in learning from my peers, learning from my fellow team leaders as well. So.
Well, I think there's a lot of pride and prestige that can kind of flow into that too. Like, not everybody has, a best squad badge.
Yep.
And that, if you're not in wartime, that is your that is your arena.
Yep.
That would be your arena to say, hey, you don't have what I have. You don't have the squad I have, or you don't have the team I have. And then it gives everybody that doesn't have that motivation or fire to say, no, I can do that. My squad can, and so I think that's a great idea. Obviously, it doesn't work in wartime, real good, but
see how we did that too as well is like we asked for volunteers, right? So I got my buddy Adam Walker. He retires as Master Guns, but I got him to do it, and this other guy to do it, another corporal to do it, but. We asked for volunteers to do it because we wanted people who wanted to do it. We didn't want the company to say, "Hey, you're doing it." So, and what we did, we took Marines from the whole entire company.
You put a super squad together to run it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're going up against regiment and division, that's what they're going to do too. They're going to take their best and slam them together. And I like what you said about asking for volunteers, because if you're making somebody do something that they don't otherwise want to do, they could be the best at that thing, and if they're not dumping passion into it and the want, they're not going to do it as good as, say, somebody that's 80% of their ability that wants it.
Right.
They'll work harder every time.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we wanted people who had a good reputation, but also wanted to volunteer to do it.
Sure.
Because we wanted to win, obviously.
Yeah.
So
man. Why put in the time if you're not gonna?
Yeah.
And so, what year is that again?
I believe that was 96. We won.
Check. Very cool. Let's go on from there. Actually, you got the NAM for being the super squad, right? So you not only get this badge to set you apart, but you're getting a NAM and a commendatory fit rep if you're an NCO,
Right.
Or sergeant. You know that's huge for a career too.
Yeah.
So
and that too, and I got merit service promoted to corporal as well, and then
Lance Corporal team leader.
Yeah.
Take super squad.
Yep.
Get the badge. Get the NAM. Get a
Yep.
promotion.
Yep.
Come on, man. That's a pretty
it was crazy though, dude. Like when I got promoted to corporal, we were in the division formation. We're doing some division operation thing. It was pouring, raining. Everybody's pissed off. Everybody's pissed off at me because I'm doing this promotion thing.
Yes.
So when the general promoted me, he's like, "Well, congratulations." I'm like, "Yeah, thank you." He's like, "Well, are you happy?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm happy to be a corporal, but I've been waiting to be a corporal for 9 months." He's like, "Well, what's going on with this?" I don't know. I got a remedial package in. And make a long story short, they backdated my pay, backdated my rank to when I was supposed to get it, and then also got my pay. So, I was a young Marine with 2 kids, and money was tight back then.
Yeah.
So I really needed that money. So
Yeah. So now you're corporal. You stay at 2-6 then for another one?
Yep.
Yeah,
I stayed
that's
at
dope.
2-6 for deployment to UDP deployment to Okinawa.
Okay, and that's same year?
Yes.
Okay,
Same year.
sure.
I think it was 96, 97.
Now, did you guys do any canopy training?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, talk about that a little. It's something I got none of. I missed the UDPs. I missed that kind of training, and that's
Right.
something that I wanted to do, or in hindsight, I wish I would have.
Yeah. Well, let me go back to Panama because Panama's triple canopy there.
Okay.
So we got a lot of training in triple canopy in Panama. And one thing about Panama's hot. So
Yeah.
90% of the time it'd be like 100 degrees and it would always be raining, for some reason, it's closer to the equator. So I think the training in Panama, far as jungle, training, was probably a little more tougher, just because it's just a triple canopy, and Okinawa is single canopy.
Right.
So you do the typical stuff when you go to Okinawa back then. We go to the Jungle Warfare Training Center, spend time out there. That's not counting the operations, training we do on our own too, as well as a company. So yeah, we do the Jungle Warfare training. Did a lot of rappelling, fast roping, stuff like that. Webb's company always went to mainland Japan for some kind of package. I forgot what the package is called. So, basically just did a lot of training, in Okinawa and Panama.
Now, with the double or triple canopy training in Panama, you did nighttime training too?
Yes.
Black.
Oh, man, you can't see anything.
Like, can't see your hand, right?
You can't see your hand, yeah. So I'll give you an example. In Panama, I had a Marine, and this is probably one of the dumbest Marines I ever had, honestly. And so this guy, name is Riddle, and I'll never forget the name. Anyways, make a long story short, we were on a patrol base, so we always, whenever we're trying to patrol base, we always try to find the worst, nastiest area, right? Mm-hmm. And so we find this area, and I tell Riddle, I was like, Riddle, do not move. I was his team leader. Do not move. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like 3 a.m, and I told his buddies, make sure you don't move. And make a long story short, Riddle got bit by so many fire ants.
That he moved?
He didn't move.
Oh, he didn't?
No, he didn't move. And make a long story short, so
oh no.
Yeah, the kid's eyes are in the back of his head, So we had an index.
Like it messed him up.
Yes, bad. Like we had
He just laid there and endured.
Yeah, he didn't move. So we had an index, and we had to just his fireman's carry him. Me and this guy Russell just took turns, and we're like a click out, man. So they're honking the horn in the hum.
He's like passed out. He's knocked out.
He stopped breathing like 3 times.
Oh, this is bad.
Bad.
Oh no.
So when they got him,
I thought you were telling a funny story about fire ants. This isn't funny.
This is a true story. So he had an allergic reaction because he got bit by so many fire ants, right? So they said if he didn't make it to the hospital soon, he probably would have died.
Oh my God.
So next day I go visit this kid in the hospital. I'm like, Riddle, why didn't you move? He's like, Sergeant or Corporal, you told me not to move. I was like, dude, if you're getting bit by fire ants, you move.
Especially hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds. So his whole body was covered. Yeah.
Hey, Instant obedience to orders, baby.
Discipline. I'll give him
Discipline,
that.
good.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
Yeah, got it. He might not have been the smartest, sharpest tool in the shed, but he'd listen to your orders.
I'll tell you right now, if I was getting bit by that many fire ants, I would have been running.
I had an incident in boot camp where my drill instructor thought it'd be funny to make me low crawl through them, and I definitely didn't stay put. I can tell you that.
No.
Yeah, that's discipline, man. That's how long was he in the hospital? Like, that's bad.
I think a couple days.
Till they got him righteous.
I mean, they had to give him some IVs and stuff like that, some stuff for the fire ants, stuff like that. So he's had an allergic reaction, got bit by so many of them,
It's not even that he was allergic. It's just that too much.
Yeah, too much. His whole body was just, like, I got bit by fire ants before, and his whole body was just caked with blisters. So.
Damn, Panama ants.
Panama ants.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, the worst thing about Panama, though, that I hated was it was called black palm, right?
Okay.
So it's like this tree, but it's like needles.
Oh,
then
yeah.
it didn't matter. It would go through your camis, it'd go through your boots, and that's
stay away from the black palm.
Yeah, it's impossible at night though. You can't see.
Yeah, you're just walking right into them.
Yeah,
this is like walking into a big bush of nettles.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh man,
yeah, terrible.
That's not good.
No.
The reason I ask, I'm reading Over the Fence by John Stryker Meyer, and he was Laos, Cambodia, different places, man, and they talk about in that triple canopy, you see nothing at night. Like, there's absolutely no light that gets through. And I've been on some dark nights, man, but there's always been some kind of ambient light. I've never been in the jungle, and so I always make a point to ask people that have been there, like, hey, what is that like? And most people say you didn't miss nothing.
No.
Whatever.
No, you didn't miss much, man.
Whatever.
I mean, you couldn't. I mean, that's a true statement. You could not see anything in front of you.
Yeah,
that's
insane.
Sure.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Jungle's different, man. I wish I would have got some kind of experience. And I reading other guys' books and hearing other guys' stories is like, yeah. As much as I do wish that I got some training there, definitely don't want to fight at war there.
No,
like, that's not my idea of a good time after, after desert war.
Besides just that alone, you got the bugs.
Oh yeah.
You got the bugs. You have the critters. All that stuff. There's a snake in Okinawa. It's called the habu. Of course, we ran into them. Of course, the Marines had to kill it. Because that's what they wanted to do. But they say stay away from it. That's one of the biggest things you hear a million times. Stay away from it. And one of my Marines had to kill it just to do it.
Yeah.
So typical Marine.
Got close to it.
Yeah, he's like, well, I ain't taking a chance.
Well, we used to drink cobra blood too. So
yeah.
Till PETA put a rag on that.
Yep.
These things happen. What's next?
So after I left 2-6, I was there for like 5 years, and then I was up for orders, re-enlisted, and I didn't have much of a choice of where to go. So I decided to go to Okinawa with the family.
Okay.
It was probably the best duty station I had for my family. I was able to spend time with them. Mm-hmm. And then so I was working down at Camp Schwab for about a year and a half, being the training NCOs. And let me go back. At first, we had a scout platoon, if you want to call it. They're supposed to be like the snipers for the regiment, right? Mm-hmm. So I had like 30-something Marines, and we had no snipers in the platoon at all. I sent like 4 Marines to sniper school, and they all failed.
Oh no!
And then shortly after that, I think the generals got involved, and they wanted to get rid of the scout platoon. So then I was at the training NCO for about, I don't know, like 6 months or so, maybe a little longer. And then I was asking to leave there, and I went to Camp Courtney, and then went to a 3 shop for about, I don't know, a year or so.
Okay.
So.
And who's that with?
On Schwab, I was with 4th Marine Regiment.
Okay.
And then when I left there, I went to, I don't remember, some H&S company or something like that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I did that, and then asked for some orders, or asked to do something different, and then they're like, okay, well, we'll send you to. I was a staff. I didn't get promoted yet, but anyways, I had orders to security force school, and I got promoted to staff sergeant when I was at the school there, and so I got orders to Bangor, Washington.
PRP command out there.
PRP command, yeah. So did that for about 2 years, and then I had orders back to 2-6.
Now, where does that take us year-wise?
So that had to be, let's see, 2000 to 2002 when I was in Bangor, Washington.
So 9/11 takes place while you're at PRP in Bangor.
9/11 took place when I was in security force school.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was in security force, my wife was still in, and kids are still in Okinawa, Japan, and I was in security force school in Chesapeake, Virginia.
Check.
So
How would that affect you?
I mean, it affected me. I think it affected me because one, my brother, my middle brother John, he was living in New York City, and he worked like 5 minutes from World Trade Center there. So I didn't even check into school yet. I was actually back home in Michigan at my dad's house, and so I remember my mom calling me, "Are you watching the news?" And I wasn't watching the news; I was sleeping, and that's when September 11th happened. So, I'm watching what happened, and after the first plane hit, and then the second plane hit, I'm like, "This is not by accident.
Mm-hmm.
This is terrorist." My family's back in Okinawa. They're on lockdown. They can't leave the base.
Yeah, that's what my next question was.
They couldn't leave the base for like a week or something like that. And then when I got to security force school, of course, everybody's talking about 9/11, blah blah blah, and So I mean, it didn't really at the time. 9/11 didn't really affect me as far as like going to combat right away because I was in a security force a company then. But
you probably knew what was coming.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. Yeah, everybody knew it was coming. As far as once we found out who did it and what's going to be next. So I knew when I left security forces, I knew that I was going to go to combat.
Yeah. So who do you go to after after PRP and Bangor?
I went to 2-6 again.
Oh, you're just 2-6 baby, huh?
Man. Yeah, I spent 10 years in 2-6. So went to 2-6. My first tour, I was an Echo company, and then my second tour, I was a Fox company. So I checked in, and then I was taking over 3rd platoon for another staff sergeant. And shortly after that, we found out that we're going to Afghanistan. That's when, at the time, we were part of the AT battalion.
Yeah.
So my company went to Kabul, Afghanistan, to guard the embassy. Echo company went to Kabul, Afghanistan, to be President Karzai's security, and then Golf Company went to Baghdad to guard the embassy there.
Okay. And kinetics on that?
No kinetics. No. I mean, there'd be some fire like outside the embassy or RPG.
Not in direct engagement with you guys at all.
Not directly at us. And, we'd be on patrol, so we try to do security around the embassy, and we never had any kind of problems at all. And then I think every 3 days or so we would go from Kabul to the A&A training area, and we go there with 2 vehicles and go train and shoot. So and we never had any problems.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, I think during that time, I think 1-6 was in Kandahar, I believe, during that period of time. And then I know when we were getting ready to leave Kabul, that's when Phantom Fury happened, and then we found out we had to leave early. We found out we're going to go to Fallujah, so we knew when we left Afghanistan we're going to Fallujah.
Check. Yeah. So you come home from Afghanistan, did you even get a full workup?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a full workup. I think it was, instead of being 6 months, it was probably 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
But we were all mentally prepared because we were frustrated in Afghanistan because we were fighting. We're watching on the news Phantom Fury. We're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we're sitting here running security patrols. I get it. Yeah. A lot of guys say that too, that we're on the mute, like watching the campaign happen on AFN from the ship cutting gator squares in the middle of the ocean, just pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a feeling for sure. All right, well, let's get into Fallujah then.
So we went to Fallujah in 2005. So when we first got there, we were between the train station and the government center. Kind of just really didn't have a home, I would say. We're kind of just like jumping from house to house, just trying to establish some kind of presence there because there really wasn't no presence. Mm-hmm. Maybe after a month we were there. I can't remember if it was 2-7 or 3-7. We changed over with them. And then we're going to be responsible for the government center, which the government center is right on Route Fran. Mm-hmm. That's like the main road that runs through downtown Fallujah, if you want to call it downtown. So like I was telling you earlier, all their guys are saying it's not that bad here, so on and so forth. And the first patrol we went on, I had a squad and a half of Marines. My lieutenant had a squad and a half of Marines, and they stopped. My lieutenant stopped on a UXO, and 7th Marines or whoever they were. I think it was 2-7, man. And one of their corporals got shot in the neck. Thank God he survived. And after that, it was downhill from there as far as the fighting wise, or indirect fire, RPGs, IEDs.
Now you say the lieutenant had a squad and a half, and you had a squad and a half, and the lieutenant stopped on UXO, like to coordinate or call something in.
Yeah. The call. I'm sorry, I should have been more specific. The call EOD in.
Okay, so they're setting up a cordon and calling EOD, and while they're on this cordon, one of your Marines gets shot in the throat.
Yeah, not my Marine, 2-7 Marine.
2-7 Marines get shot in the throat.
Yeah, the squad leader got shot.
Now, is this just a sniper shot, or is this
just
it
was sniper shot.
It's not an ambush. It's just one shot rings out.
One shot. Yep.
Oh, that's eerie.
Yeah.
So what goes down with that? They kill him?
No, I didn't kill him. No, thank God I didn't kill him. They're my corpsmen and their corpsmen were able to stop the bleeding. Thank God, and get him to Fallujah surgical ASAP. And so we were on a foot patrol, so they had to call CASEVAC in to bring the Marine to Fallujah surgical, and thank God he survived as well. So. But like I was saying, after that, it was pretty much downhill after that. One thing about the government center that I hated was there was only one way in and one way out. Mm-hmm. And then there's so much defilade that you couldn't even see an insurgent put an IED in. So you could literally put an IED right outside the government center, right outside our gate, and you wouldn't even know.
And did they do that?
Yes, they did that. Mm-hmm. We were able. Thank God we're able to majority time find them, before going off. So, one thing about, just trying to paint a picture of the government center, where we were at for our FOB. So you have these buildings everywhere around, like, enemy buildings per se, because, we have no access to it. We can go in there, of course, but, it's just a bad location. I mean, we'd indirect fire every single night.
Hitting your FOB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hitting our FOB. We had RPGs every single night. Just for our Marines to go to the bathroom, we had to wear a helmet Kevlar. It finally got to a point where it was so bad. My Marines asked me, said, "Hey, Gunny, can we?" I was a staff sergeant at the time. No, staff sergeant, can we? No, actually, Gunny. I'm sorry, because I got promoted Gunny in Afghanistan. And then they asked me, say, "Do you mind if we put a wag bag shitter, on the second deck for us to do this instead of us going downstairs every time?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I don't care."
Yeah.
So actually during that period of time, this is like right after this happened, some Marines from Golf Company, they were towards ECP3, I remember correctly. Same thing happened. They had some indirect fire come in, and the 2 Marines were, in the shitter in the porta-john. They died taking shit.
I was in country when that happened.
Yeah.
In Iraq, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a lieutenant, wasn't it? One of them?
I think so, yeah.
One of them was a lieutenant.
Yeah,
they had a mass. I was over on the Syrian border by like Camp Gannon, Karabla, Rawa, Ubaidi, on bronze and diamond, where diamond and bronze intersected over by the border over there. And that, like a stand down came down after that.
Yeah.
And I want to say the way it was explained to me, that they couldn't rule out that it was celebratory fire in the air in one of the rounds, because the round trajectory coming into the lieutenant came down like this.
On his head, yeah.
Yeah, crazy, man. And that's another thing, like people, I don't say people, but if you don't know and you haven't been there, you'd be like, "Oh, he got shot in the head," like somebody, a sniper. And it's like, not always.
Yeah.
Like they'd have a wedding and you'd see tracers running up in the air.
True.
They win a soccer game in Saudi Arabia and you'd see tracers and shit going straight up in the air. And then, what goes up must come down.
Absolutely.
And so, that's crazy. So after that stand down came when I was over there, and we had to start tacking up to go out to the shitter after that, because they were like, it could happen anywhere, what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's wild. So what was the op tempo like in Fallujah when you're there? Is it just kicking out security patrols every day?
I mean, it's both. It's security patrol. If we got some intel, there's a high value target, or
go snatch them up.
Yeah, go snatch them up, and or you do some raids. The one thing about there, is kind of located where a lot of the bad guys are at, close to Jolan District and stuff like that. So you would have Delta come in there. You would have the Rangers come in there. You would have Recon in there.
And this is on the heels of Phantom Fury, so it's not like it was a great place. You know, there's a lot of hardened fighters up in there, so a lot to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I think a period of time we had Recon. We had Recon staying with us for about a month. Mm-hmm. They were actually in the COC with us, staying, sleeping there and all that. So it was. We did some operations with them, and and then they of course they did the kicking in the door stuff and stuff like that. We they're there just to help them, and so we did that with those guys, and it was a tough deployment, man. I think we lost 12 or 15 Marines one week to sniper fire.
Talk about that. It's something we were talking about offline, because at first you felt like they were high, shooting down, and you kind of couldn't figure it out. Talk about the evolution of that.
Yeah. So we were two of my Marines got shot, and we weren't sure if it was sniper fire at the time or what, but we had a good idea. So anyways, it was I believe it was 2nd Platoon that took that. Those two Marines go down. Corporal Gettings actually died. He was awarded the Silver Star, and then also Wisdom got shot. Wisdom got shot when he's trying to get Gettings out of the kill zone. So maybe a few days after that happened, we seen a video that they posted, terrorists posted, and then we noticed inside the vehicle that the cameraman was in a vehicle, and then we noticed that the sniper was shooting from a platform inside the vehicle through the tailgate. And then if you watch the video, because they actually showed when Gettys got hit and Wisdom got hit, my Marines were shooting the opposite way. So
you mean to return fire?
Yeah, return fire.
Because they just didn't know where it was coming from.
Yeah, they didn't know. So typically before this happened, we thought the sniper was coming from a rooftop because all the buildings are connected. We never even thought about a platform in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was eye-opening, to say the least, because, of course, we never let vehicles get close to us, but we never realized there was a sniper shooting from a platform, in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So.
Man, everything we do to fill the hole, they're going to find a workaround, right?
Absolutely.
And then we had that in the United States at one time, the D.C. shooter.
Exactly the same thing.
Same exact thing, right? Exact thing. Inside the trunk of a vehicle, or in this case, yours was a truck, right? Or was he in a sedan as well?
I think it was a sedan.
Yeah, so they hollow out a place to see with the sight and to see with the barrel.
Yep.
Drive up, make their shot, and keep moving, huh?
That's probably where he got it from.
Yeah, it might be.
You know what I'm saying?
It might be.
So
one or the other, whichever one came first.
Because it
would have been your guys first.
The DC sniper was after.
Yeah, because that was like 8.
I think so.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. And for all you guys out there that are listening to this, and maybe some of the ones that are still hitting, understand that they're not stupid. Nobody that you ever fight when their life is on the line is going to be stupid. So every job you do to patch something TTP wise is going to be worked around, and it's going to become a game of cat and mouse, essentially, of working around each other. Work around patch, and that's one of those ones I haven't heard. I heard about the DC sniper, of course, but people shooting from platforms and sedans in country wasn't something I came across. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. In Fallujah, let's say we did more. Say we started doing more vehicle patrols, right? Mm-hmm. There'll be more IDs. We start doing more foot patrols. There'll be more ambushes and IDs. So it's like a cat and mouse game. It really is. We always think we'll be like one step ahead of the enemy. We want to think like the enemy. We want to be one step ahead of me. But they're doing the same thing to us as well.
Absolutely.
They're adjusting. For the longest time, they were always whenever they had an ID, that was always detonated by a person. Mm-hmm. And it got to a point where they weren't doing that anymore.
They were getting killed that way.
Yeah, the trigger man's getting killed. So they typically adjust. And then they started doing single IDs. Then they started doing doubles. Started doing triples. So they always adjust.
100%. If you follow that into Marja, we had our relief come in for us, and relief came in for 1-6, and everybody's kind of doing that rip toe, couple of weeks of rip toe and transitioning that authority. And the very first rip patrol for 1-6 in their relief, and they only had like 2 squad leaders come in to rip them, so the 2 new squad leaders that are going to take over are running out on a patrol with the guys that have been there 7 months. And the squad leader briefs them, and it's not bad on everybody. When you're there, things are clustered, but the TTP for the Taliban became to initiate the ambush in the open, knowing that the Marines were going to suck to the closest cover and fight from it. So they started organizing the battlefield like a chessboard, and they would put a double stacked anal IED in this doorway and then maybe in this compound over here's doorway, and wait till the Marines would come in the middle, knowing that they were going to go there, open up, whether they hit them or not, they drive them to cover because they knew that's what the Marines were doing, right? Happened to them. And the squad leader, of the guys that have been on the ground briefed it. Hey, this is what they're doing. If you got to make cover, you're going over a wall, onto a roof, climb something, launch your buddy. Do not go through the main doors. And what happened? That unit lost 2 guys in their very first patrol. Their 2 squad leaders go down. Yeah. The oncoming squad leaders. Because they took contact, and those guys, out of mind, thinking get to cover, they both run in, step on one, boom, boom.
Yeah. It's crazy, too. You bring up another good point. Every single time we do RIP TOA, right, always something happens. It's like they know. The enemy,
think about it. You have a bunch of helicopters coming in that haven't been coming in. They're dropping people off where they haven't been dropping people off. You have this mass influx. And now if I'm the enemy, it's like either I'm shutting things down for a minute to see how that figures out, or I'm all ahead full because now I'm thinking, hey, they're calling in backup. Like, we need to hit them before this gets organized.
Also too, it's a good point, but I also think too, they want to set the precedence, right? They want to set the precedence with that new unit coming in, like, we're here to fight. You know what I'm saying? That we're not cowards. But every single RIP TOA I've been on, always something happens.
That's unfortunate, but I don't even know if it's unfortunate, man, because when we ripped out at that same time, we're ripping out, and the oncoming unit wanted a very fast rip. We tried to give them a longer rip, to explain, hey, this ain't no joke. But right before they came in, we did something called the 5-day war. And I talk about it in my book. We went up there and dumped these dudes. We went up there and set it up so that when 2-9 come in, that we could transition smoother. And thousands of 240 rounds, hundreds of 40 Mike. We blew several bridges up in there, in the northern AO.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, what ended up happening, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, didn't work out for our guys too good, our relief. Well, the Taliban, like 2 days before their main element comes in, calls a ceasefire because we're up there just pushing them in. You know what I mean? And taking all their shit, taking all their supply routes, hitting bubbles that we hadn't hit in months, and they call a ceasefire. Like we get, like the ICOM chatter Marines say, they call a ceasefire for their guys. Like, sweet, that's good for us, right? And we get in and transition these guys and do a tow. And then it's like a week after we leave, that ceasefire lifts. And I hear these guys have been in country now for 2 weeks operating, listening to us say it's hell on earth, but they didn't find anything. And as soon as that ceasefire lifted, it was a different story for them. Yeah, so I would almost rather, when the RIP TOW comes in, it's serious.
True.
Things are the same. Whatever, because if you have a unit come in and for 2 weeks they have nothing, and then it goes from 0 to blast on the 11th day, that can catch you. And I think it caught people. That's
a good point right there, though. I never thought about that way. It makes sense, though. So just talking about Fallujah there, so it was very kinetic. I can't remember specifically. I think we lost 25 Marines a battalion. I think we lost 12 or 15 in a week from that sniper fire. From that sniper. I'm not sure if it was more than one, or as far as I know it was one. But
now go back to that. How many did that platform get? Several.
Shoot, man. I would say all of them that got shot by a single shot. Marines probably that platform.
Yeah, but how many is that?
I would say 12 at least.
Oh my goodness! So this guy's
he's very good. Very good sniper and doesn't miss. You know what I'm saying? So, like when I was telling you in this story about Gettings when he got hit, So he's kind of in the middle of the road when he got hit because they're crossing the road, danger area. And when Wisdom went out and got him, as soon as Wisdom was grabbing him, he got shot too. So that was before we had side savvy plates.
Yeah.
So Gettings got hit, if I remember correctly, on the right or left side, right in the organ right there. So it was just bouncing around his organs. Yeah. And unfortunately he didn't make it. And same thing happened to Wisdom, but Wisdom was able to make it after several surgeries, thank God. And but during that time in Fallujah, the main problems, of course, like anywhere, is IEDs. Sniper fire was probably one of the biggest. RPGs, stuff like that. So whenever we adjust, like I was saying, they would adjust too as well. And we always knew certain areas there was always going to be IEDs here. Doesn't matter if we called EOD in or not. Every single time they're going to put new IEDs out there. So for example, it got to a point where, and I was telling you this earlier, it got to a point where we could not keep security outside in the open. We actually had to go inside buildings and do some security from there. So one time, this brand new warrant officer in the Army, was EOD, came out, and he's all pissed off because we had no Marines in the open.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to yell at us, and I jumped in there. I said, "Listen here, motherfucker." I said, "You just got here yesterday." I said, "We're not standing in the open." I said, "We're not. We're gonna if you come out to an ID with my guys or anybody from this company, we're gonna be inside of a building because we're not going to take a shot, be in the open, and get killed. We're not going to do it." Mm-hmm. He quieted down after that because what is he going to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's very kinetic there. So I think we lost 25 Marines if I remember correctly. So it was a tough deployment.
Yeah, that's tough.
It was a tough one. So and then we came back from there, and then we knew we were going back. We're told we're going back to Fallujah again. A year later. So
it's like come home, work up, and you're going right back.
Yeah, pretty much. So when it was 06, 07, and then when we went out there, I was a company gunny at the time, so all the company gunnies went out like 30 days prior to the company's
like Advon or whatever.
Right. Went there 30 days prior. So we're making sure all the companies are making sure when the SEAL gets on deck, all everything's accounted for, everything's all that stuff. So I remember correctly. It was 24th Marines. I remember correctly. We went back to Bahrain. That's where the battalion is. We went back there for a supply run or some kind of meeting or whatever it was. And so I was there for like a week or whatever. And I told the company gunny and their XO, I was like, "Hey, you guys, it's like we're gonna take the Marines to chow." I'm like, "All right, cool." We're eating tray rats at the time, and I'm like, "Yeah, cool, man." It's like I've been here for a week, dude. Like, take your Marines and go eat chow. I'll stay out here with the vehicles, the weapons, and go eat chow, right? He's like, "Well, we want to keep a Marine with you." I'm like, "All right, whatever." So, make a long story short, I heard over the radio, two of the Marines got shot right by the blue mosque. We call it the blue mosque because it's got big blue, whatever you want to call those things on the mosque there. Mm-hmm. And so two Marines got shot. So I told the young Marine, "Hey, run in there and grab your your lieutenant or the captain and your company gunny and your Marines, and we need to go." So they come out there
because the REACT squad's at Chow.
I don't know if we were even on REACT, but I'm just saying we're close.
Gotcha. You're not REACT, but you're like, I can help.
We can help. Like if one of your brothers are down, you need to go help.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they come out and he's kind of the XO. The captain's kind of like just not sure what to do. Just kind of like heaving and hawing. I'm like, "Hey man, what are we doing here? Like, we're like 2 minutes away. Let's go." And I know the city by heart. I'm like, "Let's go and help these guys." And they're pinned down too, and they couldn't like the squad.
Oh, they're in a gunfight.
Yeah, they're in a gunfight. They can't move. So I'd say, "Hey, let's go help these guys." "Oh no, we're gonna go to Fallujah Surgical and meet them there." Make a long story short, a sergeant and a corporal died that day. I think, and I can't remember the specific number. I want to say it's 27 Marines that got killed from the battalion. I think when they left it was like 32. And that was a frustrating deployment for me because I think during that time I'm thinking about it's like all this blood and tears that we lost prior to this, right? Then I find out like, okay, so what's your patrol schedule? "Oh, we don't patrol during the day." Like, what do you mean you don't patrol during the day? "Oh, we patrol during the day. We take fire." I'm like,
well, what unit is this?
Like 24th Marines.
Okay.
So they're out of Michigan.
So reserve unit, right?
Yeah, reserve unit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
So you guys are falling in on this, like to take over for them?
Yep.
And they just got you in a soup sandwich.
They got us in a situation where it's worse than I think when we got here came the last time.
The year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to keep my emotion in check, too. And I'm like, so tell me this. So you're not patrolling during the day because you're taking fire. Like, is that what we're here for? We're here to, like, so basically what you're telling me, the enemy can do whatever hell they want to during the day, but at night, that's when you go out. I said, that makes no damn sense. Well, we lost 27 Marines. It's like, what's part of combat, man? We don't want to lose anybody, but unfortunately, in combat, bad things happen.
Yeah.
So I called back, man. And I think I was there for a couple of weeks. I called back and I talked to the company First Sergeant Kramer. I'm like, hey man, it's like, listen, dude, like it's freaking bad here. Like it's worse probably than the last time we were here. He was there with us, and so I was like, when the Marines get on deck, I'm gonna give them a brief and just tell them some of you may not make it back, because that's just the facts of life, So make a long story short, I think if I remember correctly. I think 1-6 was in Ramadi. At the same time, we're back in Fallujah, right? And Ramadi's always been bad, like Fallujah, And they're doing some kind of operation. I don't remember what it was called, whatever. But they're basically clearing out every single district in Ramadi, and it was pretty effective, So at the time, our battalion commander was Lieutenant Colonel Mullen, and then he got promoted to general, retired a couple years ago. General Mullen. William III. So he set the Battalion X up there, Major Benson, up to Ramadi just to see what 1-6 was doing. And so he decided that we're going to do this operation called Operation Alja. And one thing that 1-6 was doing that he didn't like, which didn't make any sense to me, they're kind of going in order as far as district wise. So when we did this operation, we jumped around from district to different district, no in order, because
they could set up or bail out,
right?
Whatever.
Exactly. Basically, what we were doing. So let's say we, I can't remember what district we started. Let's say we started in Jolan district, for example, right? So we would go in there and clear every friggin' house out, right? You find any bad guys, take them. Typically, in the last deployment to Fallujah, whenever we found a bad guy, they had a good police chief in Fallujah.
Okay. You mean local?
Local, police chief. So typically, if they went to the police in Fallujah, they weren't probably going to make it, or they're going to get beat to death. Yeah. Whatever they do, I don't know, but they
do it.
They do it.
Yeah.
So and they're taking every single male. Like we just operations with them. They're taking every male, not just ma'ams. They're taking every male. So
I think that's kind of what it comes to.
Right.
Is it not like this is the cultural thing?
Right.
This is people that all grew up together on the same bullshit, doing the same thing. So if you leave, let's say 10% of your military age fighters there, what do you think is going to happen with them? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just think they know that.
Right. But, I mean, it's kind of obvious that like both deployments at first were like, excuse me, if you're between 18 and 25, we're taking you, right? So now the local police are taking everybody, every male, and they bring them back to the jail and do whatever they do to them. I don't know.
Well, that's Afghanis handling Afghanis, though.
Right.
At least that's not us having to do whatever they're doing.
Exactly. So, and then, when we did, some operations with them before we did Operation Alja, and then the local, local hierarchy, army, and stuff like that. So, those, if they were insurgents or wherever they were, they'd be crying, man, like, we don't want to go, because they know what's going to happen to them, you know? And I'm not going to lie, it was kind of a relief on us, because we have to deal with, prisoners, we just kind of like give them to them, and then they do whatever they do. So shortly after that, like I was saying, we did Operation Alja, and actually, if anybody's interested, there's a book on that too that General Duffer wrote on that too. That book, and another gentleman, I forgot his name, but anyways, explains like how Operation Alja worked. But basically,
what's that book called, if you don't mind?
I'll have to look it up. I can't remember.
Skip with me.
Yeah. I think it's called Alja. I think so. But anyways, it's Operation Alja we did, and we basically just went from district and skipped around to whatever district, and from there. So basically, what we did was we would establish like a COC for them, right? And we'd hire the local people, probably the same ones who were trying to kill us. You know what I'm saying? And pay them $20 a month, whatever it was. I'm not even sure what the exact amount was, but maybe $25 a week, whatever it was. And they would be responsible for where they lived, making sure no bad guys come in, and making sure it's peaceful, do patrols, and safe. We had Marines that would stay with them too as well. Make a long story short, that deployment, I didn't lose anybody. That's the best deployment I've been on, and the younger Marines who never really seen anything, they're disappointed because they didn't get into any firefights, and the ones who've been there before were like, this is the best deployment ever.
It's what you want.
Yeah. So yeah, it was rewarding, man, because I think we might have lost 2 Marines in the beginning. Not my Marines in my company.
You mean rewarding in the sense that you got to see it get better?
Yeah, you got to see it to get better, right? And it was rewarding because all the blood and shit and tears that not just my guys did, or the Marines in general, that did, like, there's a change. You know what I'm saying? That was the rewarding part, and you could see like the local people taking pride in where they lived at, instead of being a dump, trash everywhere, crap in the in the streets, and and then there's always. Even when you came back, and I came back in 2007, this place was still destroyed from the push in Fallujah, So they were cleaning all that rubble up, knocking buildings down. It was a proud moment. It really was. Not because, I lived there, because of a change. You were kind of just like, just proud.
Yeah, positive. You're impacting, or you're positively impacting an area in the way in which you set out to. Right.
And then also too, like, all the Marines, and soldiers that died there, is not in vain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the biggest, thing that, I got for that deployment. And after we pulled out, then it went to shit again. So, but it's just kind of crazy how you give these guys a little bit of money, and, things change, So I think that was probably 2 months into the deployment, I believe. And 5 months later, we had nothing going on, man. Nothing. It was so quiet. It was weird.
Did it stay like that for the remainder of your time?
Yeah. It was eerie, but cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, it's always better when you're not losing people. That's for sure. And if you're, your whole deployment prior to that, you're losing people, and then you got this, that sniper situation. And were you in the exact same area that you were the first time?
Yes. Well, no, I'm sorry. This last deployment to Fallujah, I was in the train station. So we were east, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we were east of it, not far.
Not far though.
Yeah, not far.
Yeah. That's I think that's a good thing, because you got leaders that have already been there in the previous deployments, so they have a little bit of essay on the ground with enemy and terrain. I wish we did better about that.
Yeah.
Like too many times, I think like 3-6 is going to come out of Iraq, and then boom, you're putting them into Afghanistan instead of, like the green unit that is now going into Iraq where they just were.
No, I may agree with you. Because like, I'm not going to lie. Of course we had a lot of changeover, but we had plenty of people who already been there, in now our leadership positions, or like myself, who's already been there in a leadership position, and a few others, and so it just helped deployment overall. Not just that deployment, but the training, the workup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All that stuff just helped up. We know, and everybody's already been there, knows the city.
Yep.
They could have been anywhere in the city. We knew it.
Yeah.
Because we're just,
you were there that long.
Do it so much.
Yeah.
It's like Groundhog's Day. Yeah. It's the same thing every day.
Yeah. I guess the danger would be like, let's just throw out some units that don't mean anything and it's not real, but let's say 2-6. Okay, so 3-6 Kilo went into Marja, northern Marja. Raunchy deployment, let's say. You send those same guys back to Marja on a not raunchy deployment, there is some adjusting in the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Because those guys just came from there 6-8 months ago and it was bad.
Right.
They're going to be looking for that same stuff. I don't know what's the happy medium. I think I would rather have the guys with experience on that terrain there and have to pull the reins back and say, hey, it ain't the same, or it is the same.
It's in my opinion, it's easier to pull the reins back than
to push them.
100%.
100%.
Yeah,
I'd rather slow them down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the training you do prior to going to combat. You know, you go to 29 Palms, right? And then, you know, some of their scenarios are just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And then you get in country, you're like, okay, you know,
not ridiculous enough.
Yeah, you're not ridiculous enough. So I mean, but you know, it's like anything. You can plan. You can have the perfect plan, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the perfect plan when you actually do it.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good improvise, adapt, and overcome. We always, you know, coming up, I would brief my guys: don't fall in love with the plan. Know the plan.
Yeah.
Know the book,
right?
But be able to throw that shit out, because it's like the Mike Tyson, right? Everybody's got a plan till you get hit in the mouth,
right?
And then you have to flex, because your plan might not be all that.
I mean,
and I would say more times than not on operations, I had to adjust my plan. Nothing ever stayed to
right. Well, and that's what's good. That's what's good about Marines. Like, we can adjust on the fly.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you have to from the very beginning,
right? So
it's just bred into you.
You know, something I want to talk about too is like on my experience in combat deployments. You know, so let's say I had a Marine, for example, and one comes to mind who's always in trouble, right? Always in trouble in the rear, usually drinking 9 out of 10 times, right? And, you know, this one particular kid, not just him, just several ones, but, you know, always in trouble with something, you know, and you take him to deployment and he's one of your best rock stars because you have him by his balls.
It's either that or it's that, you know, Winston Churchill said it's not only the generals in the upper staff that win the wars, but it's the stinks and stinkers too.
Yep.
It's those guys that are rushing the enemy with a smile on their face sometimes. You know, it's those guys that have that little bit of edge, that little bit of wild in them, that dog, right? Mm-hmm. And in the rear, it's not a good place for those guys. You got to keep the asses in the field. You got to keep a short leash on them because, you know, they're the guys that are going to, you know, go out in town and get arrested or, you know, fuck something up real bad and fuck their career up at the same time. But, man, they're the same guys. You get them in combat and they're animals. Yeah. And they can be cool and collect.
Yeah, and then you have guys who are in the rear who don't get in trouble, but you put them in combat and they're just pansies.
Combat does weird things to people, man.
Yeah, you know, that's crazy too. Is like my mentality in combat is so much different than back in garrison because, you know, shit out there does not matter. Like, okay, I'm not worried about if your camis are perfectly clean. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about if your boots are perfect. I'm not worried about all that stuff. You know, in garrison we gotta, you know, that's more of a concern.
Well, so it's attention to detail, and I think we need to have attention to detail. But people can take that too far. I mean, we just talked offline about H. Kaya, and the order come down from the top head shed, even above the Marine Command 1-8 that was there, that they needed to go out and police call for the Taliban. It's like,
that's crazy.
That's some attention to detail that maybe we could have done that in garrison, but I'm not exactly sure why you had them do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So some guys take it a little too far, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, some guys, you know, bless all your hearts in the drill instructor world. Some guys just never come on, like that old adage, they don't come off the drill field.
No, you're right.
It's like, yeah, you're off the drill field and you're in the goddamn desert, dude.
Yeah.
You know, why are you making people police call? You know, like 3-2 had an issue with that.
Really?
Habania deployment, they had to police call.
I remember that.
Out in Hob, and that was a kinetic deployment where they lost people. Mm-hmm. And they had people out there telling them to police call like the serpentine entrance to their fob, and it's like, I think people get so far detached sometimes, even in command elements, that they start worrying about things like air and garrison that they shouldn't be worrying about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, that would always be adjustment. Let's say, you know, I would try to take some Marines back to Bahria to get some chow because, you know, usually, you know, we're eating MREs or we're eating tray rats, and tray rats are not very good. We all know MREs are not very good, but so we you know, that was always adjustment. We go back to, let's say instead of going to Bahria, we go to Camp Fallujah and you have the Marines get some chow, right? So I remember this story, and so I had all my Marines, you know, go get some chow, and I said, hey, I'm gonna watch the vehicles, I'm gonna watch your weapons, go eat. Well, maybe about 5 minutes later, one of my Marines comes running back. Hey, Sergeant Major so-and-so, stop me. Okay, what do you want? And he's like, well, where's your weapon at? He's like, well, my platoon sergeant's watching it. Oh, no, you need to have it on you. Okay. Make a long story short, the only reason we were in Fallujah in the first place, we just had a Marine get hurt or get hit, and so we're bringing back to Fallujah Surgical. So a lot of my Marines were already bloody as it was. So the Sergeant Major came over and started talking to me, and I went off on this guy, and I was like, "Listen, man," I was like, I respect your rank and everything, but this is the most bullshit fucking thing. I said, my guys are here to get some chow. We just lost. One of my Marines may not make it, and you're worried about freaking if they're carrying their fucking weapons to chow. So get the fuck out of here.
Because Fallujah Surgical in this base over here is relatively a safe place. Like you're in the wire.
It's a safe place. So make a long story short, so he didn't like what I had to say. He called my Sergeant Major up. So my Sergeant Major, he's like, next time you're in Bahrain, come see me. All right, cool, man. So I go see him. He's like, don't do that shit again. I'm like, this is fucking stupid, man. I was like, come on. Tell the guy to go fuck himself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's basically what I told him in a tactfully way, Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, that's one thing I would have to say, man. It's like realize where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Realize where you're at if some of you guys go to combat, realize where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Some of that shit, the attention to detail shit's all important, especially in combat, in anywhere, but don't worry about the stupidest shit that does not matter. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, we had a big problem, all the time in Fallujah with feral dogs, right? Mm-hmm. Because they'd be eating dead bodies, they'd be barking when you're on patrol. Yep. So the last deployment, I was coming to Gunny, General Mullen said, he was a lieutenant colonel at the time, but he said, hey, Gunny, I want you to kill as many of these feral dogs as you can. Okay, well, that's the order he gave me, so I'm going to take that, and we're going to kill some dogs. Make that mission happen. Yeah. So we got some like SOG hats in the mail from SOG, right? And some ball caps, whatever. Yeah. And so I would take the NCOs out, and when the Marines say, hey, Gunny, post 2 has got 4 dogs here, whatever the case may be is. And I was like, hey, put the SOG hat on. We'd be in boots and utes. We'd go out there and destroy the dogs. We, put some gloves on, drag them over to the burn pit, and burn these dogs. Well, my first sergeant would always get pissed at me. Like, Gunny, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm following the battalion commander's direct order. He wants me to kill dogs. No, with these SOG hats. It's like, dude, relax, man. Like, if I can take these guys for a few minutes and have some quality time. They're not wearing SOG hats on patrol. They're not wearing outside the war. They're not wearing without me because I have them. Mm-hmm. And I said, just relax. I said, they're doing this. Whether you like it or not, I don't care. And he's my roommate.
Oh, okay.
So I said, it's not going to change. We're doing this. He finally just shut up. Yeah. So, but anyway, it was just an outlet for me to like spend some time with the NCOs. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And then not even worried about no damn SOG fucking hat. You know what I'm saying? We're just there to.
And I get it. Yeah. And he's just trying to crush everybody.
Yeah, I didn't even listen to anything he had to say. Yeah. So. Check. I looked at, for me, it looked more like a morale booster for him. Yeah. The ones that been on a couple of combat deployments in a row and stuff like that. But one thing I failed to mention, and it's probably a good lesson learned. On the first deployment to Iraq. So I was telling you earlier, so, the platoon sergeants and the platoon commanders can coordinate with each other because we always had.
You're talking about the first push in Fallujah.
Yeah, the first push.
Or the first deployment.
Yeah. First deployment in Fallujah. Check. So the first deployment in Fallujah, we could, conflict between platoons. We're doing a changeover as far as, what routes we took, where we were at, stuff like that. So we did a really good job with that too, as well. And so we're not setting any patterns. It was going great, man. And then all of a sudden, the CO decided he wanted the XO to be in charge of that. So basically, the XO was planning our routes, which was
the XO is planning out squad patrol routes that he's not going on.
Yep.
Check.
Yeah. So I mean. Not so much to the T, but like this is the area we're going in. Mm-hmm, you know what I'm saying? And then, not looking at the patterns as far as where we've been.
Or where other squads have been and such.
Yeah. So, we were, so whenever we do a changeover, we always talk and be like, hey, where'd you go this week? Yep. These last 3 days or 4 days, whatever it was. And well, we're supposed to go to the same area. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We're supposed to go to the same area, and so of course I bring this up to the chain of command to the company gunny, and I was a gunny too, and I bring it up to the first sergeant, and and I started getting irate about this. So I'm like, listen, man, it was like someone's gonna get freaking.
Because he keeps sending every patrol back into the same
area,
just setting a pattern to go down the same.
Yes,
okay,
same area, and so I so sorry about that.
It's all good.
Anyways, so we're setting patterns up. So I bring it up to the chain of command, and I'm like, listen, something's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna happen. And sure enough, like 2 or 3 days later, one of my Marines on company, Kenny, he got hit pretty good by an ambush and small arms fire, and of course I'm pissed off even more now because this happened. So
and was it in the area where you expected it to be because of how saturated it stayed?
Yeah, because of the patterns that we set. So and even to this day, if I haven't seen Kramer now, I would tell him the same thing. But make a long story, come back for deployment. And I think his hands were kind of tied. And he ain't a type of person like me who speaks his mind out in the open. Mm-hmm. He's more of a person that does it behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And I'm the opposite. If something's wrong, I'm gonna just jump up and down and say something. Yeah. It doesn't matter who's there.
Yeah.
So anyways, make a long story short, we get back from that deployment. All the staff NCOs and officers were, I think it was just staff NCOs, were having some beers and then just chilling out. And he finally acknowledged that I was right.
Oh, it took that much time, though?
Yeah, it took that much time.
Yeah, because he kind of fought you on it, right?
Well,
because he wanted your guys to just turn right back around and go out, right?
Well, that was a battalion XO.
Oh, that was the XO.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I don't think he was fighting with me per se because he knew what I was talking about. But I think his hands are tied as far as with the CO.
I gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? There's not much more he can do.
Yeah.
So, but but. Also, too, you brought up another point, too, about I think I took the first casualty, first time in Fallujah in 05, 06, whatever year it was. And so I just got back from patrol. My lieutenant took a squad out, and they're doing a vehicle patrol, and they got hit by an ID en route Fran. And one of my squadrons lost his leg, so we had to send him back to Germany. Anyways, so I got woken up from that, and so I'm deciding who the squadron is going to be. I have 2 people in mind, just trying to figure out who would be the best. And then the company XO is going around telling my Marines are going back out in 5 minutes. Like no, we're not. We're going to stick to our patrol schedule. We're not going to adjust it because you want us to go back out. Make a long story short, I was hunting this XO down, telling him this is not happening. So I finally found him, just had some choice words to him. It never happened, obviously. I talked to the CO about it, and we're going to stick to this patrol schedule. But one thing I just want to say is whether you're in combat or not, you see something that's not right? Whether it's you're setting patterns up, or you're to have to stand up to someone who's not making the right decision. Make sure you do that, because if you don't stick up for your guys, nobody else is going to. Mm-hmm. And then also too, you also got to keep in mind too, when you lose someone or one of your Marines get injured, your emotions are already going 100 miles an hour. And I'm very outspoken anyways, and then once your emotions get in there, you're going to say things that doesn't even matter. You don't think about it. You just all majority is all emotion, really.
Yeah, spewing.
Yeah. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I think there's there's definitely emotions, and you have to be able to check that, but it is important, not 5 minutes later, but you must go back out.
For sure.
Like, you get your guys, you talk to them, mm-hmm. get their heads cleared. Mm-hmm. Definitely stick to your schedule if you have a schedule and other missions that are dependent on your guys being ready for that time. Because you're not going to come right in, and unless it's drastic situation, pushing right back out with the same squad that just got hit, and that's shook up still, and that needs to breathe a little bit, might not be the best option.
Yeah, I think what I did was I I stayed to the same schedule, but what I did, I think I pushed one of the squads that was supposed to go out afterwards before them. You know what I'm saying? And just give them time.
Give them reprieve.
Yeah. Give them time, and then also, I want to make sure the new squad leader had a chance to talk to his guys.
Sure.
And given his expectations. So it's just, I want them back out there because I want them to be scared to go back out there again. I want them to go back out there and feel comfortable.
Be confident in what they got, the team they got, the time they have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, not just, figuring out who the squad leader, but who's going to be the new team leader too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
and you got to change gear up. You may have to change weapons up depending. Like I lost a saw gunner early. Mm-hmm. Well, you're not sending the saw back with him. No. You're figuring out who now can I transition all this to. There's some administrative work that needs to be done, not 5-minute administrative work.
Right. And then I'd also talk to my team leaders too, and it's like okay, even before I made a decision, I already knew who I was picking. But I asked them who do you think's the best for this position? And I would ask them just like we're talking right now, and see what they would have to say, and then ask them who do you think's the next person to be a team leader? I wanted their input. I already knew who it's going to be, but I also want them to own it too. You know what I'm saying? They're part of the decision. Mm-hmm. So and it took me a while to figure that out. But once I figured that out, it's like if I can, I don't want to sell it to them per se, but if I can get everybody involved, right, in the decision and make it their own.
Well, then it's harder for them to go back on it when there's boundaries and obstacles they come up against. 100%.
Exactly.
And let's be honest, man. If you're in a regular infantry squad, okay, you got the squad leader and you got 3 team leaders. One of them team leaders is the APL, right. And if he's not, he should be.
Yep.
It should be established, and there should be a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Okay, if squad leader goes down, APL picks up. If the APL goes down at the same time squad leader does, team leader picking it up. So on and so on. That should be established. Yeah. However, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always go that way.
I think too is some of the things I learned. Even before I went to combat, I tell these guys this, after Donnelly got hit, right? Mm-hmm. It was so much more serious for these guys.
Oh yeah,
it became real, and their eyes were this big. So everything I said to them prior to that, it all came. They're like, "Holy crap! I understand why you did things." Mm-hmm. They never understood at the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But once that happens to you, then their whole horizon just kind of opens. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That this is real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then and they think about the training, Marines always want to complain about the training's not good enough, or we could have did this, or whatever the case may be. And then they realize that we're doing this for a reason. So after that happened, I think not just my platoon per se, the whole company kind of just
locked in.
Yeah, locked in and realized what we're in, and as far as what we're doing, because I don't think it really hit home when that Marine from 7th Marines got hit, because it wasn't one of ours. It's one of our Marines, but not one of our own.
It's not, what I'm saying? It's not your dude.
Yeah, it's not your dude. So yeah, man, it's I can say this, that I went shoot. I didn't go to combat for 12 years, 11 years before I finally went be in the Marine Corps, and I was always ready, right? And I always had the right mentality, and we had the training, but the younger guys that don't realize that. I've been waiting to go to combat. Yeah. I couldn't wait. You know what I'm saying? People are you're stupid. No, I couldn't wait to go. I wanted to go so bad when they're doing Phantom Fury and we're stuck in Afghanistan guarding the embassy. I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Why isn't this us? Mm-hmm. Then we found out we're going to get our opportunity. So.
Yeah, man. Awesome. What's after that?
After that, I got promoted to First Sergeant and then left.
Promoted First Sergeant, left, and then what year did you retire?
I retired in 2013.
13, okay.
Yeah, so it was 2007 when I left 2-6, and then I went to I-9 duty. Something I could talk about too as well. I went to I-9 duty in Indiana, and one of the things about I-9 duty, I-9 duty is not a bad duty station. So it's just so people understand it. So as a First Sergeant, and I had a staff of 13 Marines, counting myself. So I had a captain and 11 other Marines. So basically, what we're there for is to inspect and instruct their reserves, and then they come in once a month and do their training, and then once a year they do their 2-week training for annual training. So besides you do toys for tots out there in the local community, but one of the biggest things we're really busy with was doing funerals. So
like Keiko stuff.
Yeah, Keiko stuff.
Yeah.
So if a Marine was killed if a Marine was killed like in combat or suicide or whatever the case may be, we had to notify the family if if they lived in Indiana, or if say a veteran died too as well, we have to do the their family requested funeral honors, we had to do that as well. So. But yeah, I would say, man, like I did quite a few CACOs, whether it was a Marine who killed himself or it was a Marine who died in combat.
Or they could be lost in a traffic accident or drown or whatever.
Whatever, whatever it may be. But I tell you, that's probably one of the toughest things I had to do is go into a stranger's house and let them know that their loved one was passed away, and then also that brought back so much stuff from the war for me too as well, that it was like back in my Brain-Heisen group that I never
locked
really
away.
About. Yeah, never really thought about. So yeah, but that was a rewarding experience, tough experience.
Well, there's honor in that. As hard as it is, I've had guys talk about the parade duty and the Keiko duties, on the show before, and it's like, even though it was your 30th or your 300th, that family gets one of those, and you have to hold your shit together and be a man for those minutes and those hours, whatever that is, so that family can get the same as the last family and the last family. And so there's definitely honor in that. I did not want that job. No. There's no way you could ever convince me that was a job that I should take or that I would want to be happy about. But I think there's just a massive amount of honor in it, and doing it right for honor alone can be good enough. So.
And I think some people don't realize this too. Like this could last a year. Like let's say for example you get that Marine remains back to their family, get them buried and all stuff. But that job's not done yet. You know what I'm saying? That could last a year or longer. Let's say there's an investigation. Let's say a Marine killed himself, for example, right? And the family has a hard time even accepting that in the first place, and there's an investigation, so you're with them till the whole investigation's done. So I get phone calls 2-3 in the morning, that they had a question or whatever it be, and of course you take the phone call and you deal with that. So, but it's very rewarding too as well. And then one of the things I want to talk about too is like. I got an opportunity when my brother was drowned in 2019. I reached out to General Dunford, who was the Joint Chief of Staff at the time, because my brother served under him, and I served under him too when I was a sergeant. But he was retiring at the time, so he couldn't. I was asking him basically if he could present the flag to my family, my parents, and he couldn't do it. Unfortunately, he was getting ready to retire, which is fine. So I reached out to General Mullen. I knew my brother never served under him, but I knew it'd be near and dear in his heart because his brother died of a drowning. So I asked him if he would do that as well. So of course he did it. But I was able to escort my brother's remains back. And first time I wore a uniform in 7 years, I was able to wear my uniform and escort his remains from California to Arlington, and that was quite an honor, man. And doing that as well.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing. An amazing honor. It's not great. It's not amazing that you had to do it, but to be able to do that as a brother, for your brothers, that's awesome. Yeah, it was awesome, man. I didn't really get a chance to grieve for him because when I put my uniform on, I'm a Marine. I'm not going to show any kind of emotion. I'm put that Marine face on, stuff like that. So, I think after that kind of hit me, and then it was like
make a long story short, something I could talk about too is I went to Quantico. I went to Arlington like 4 times. So I could never bury my brother. Make a long story short, this lady, this lady that my brother was seeing, supposedly they got married that day, but there's no marriage license, no marriage certificate at all. So the Marine Corps for 3 days pulled the mass sergeant from her because she couldn't prove that they're married. So anyways, she decided to go to the courts in California and try to fight this.
For money?
Yeah, for money. For the $400,000. That's another problem. My brother's red was all jacked up. So make sure, whoever's listening to this, if you're still in, make sure your red's updated. So my brother was married. His wife passed away January of 2019. And they're going through a divorce. So he never updated that. So that was a fiasco, to say the least. So make a long story short. So my brother had his wife listed on there, and then he had my mom as secondary. So the Marine Corps was trying to decide, well, how are we going to work this between both parents? So they decided to split it up between both my parents. But make a long story short, too, I went back to Arlington like 4 times. Could never bury my brother. He was in the court systems. Finally, I think it was the second or third time, they decided that, hey, we're just gonna do the ceremony for my brother. We're not gonna bury him. We're just gonna do the ceremony.
Why weren't they burying him?
Well, this is what I was gonna get ready to tell you. So my brother's wife was in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And I know she was in the Marine Corps, but I didn't know she got dishonorable discharge. So my brother, I didn't know he could even do this. He gave up his rights, his veteran rights, to her, for her to be buried in National Cemetery. Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that
I didn't know you could even do that. So when we were in Arlington, the funeral director came up to me and said, hey, First Sergeant, do you know where your brother was buried his wife at? And I was like, somewhere in California. So let me ask my uncle. My uncle owned a funeral home in California, and he knows all. I told my brother to talk to him about best places and all that. And he said, I think he said Rosewood, California. Anyways, then they come back and said, hey, just so you know, your brother gave up his rights. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, his wife had a dishonorable discharge, and he gave up his rights for her to be buried in the National Cemetery. It's like, oh my God. And so I didn't know you could even do that. And I'm like, well, this is your guys' fault. I'm like, this has been planned for how long? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we going to do now? Oh, well, we can bury him at Quantico. So,
like at the veteran
cemetery. Yeah. So, but make a long story short, that never happened through the court systems. His body was just being, decomposed. It was going on for months, and so finally we had to cremate him. So, yeah. So she actually got her way. That's what she wanted. His girlfriend, wherever she was, she wanted him to be cremated and stay in California. Well, she never stayed in California. According to her, my brother wanted to be buried in California, which doesn't make any sense to me. No one talks about where they want to be buried at a young age, I think. Mm-hmm. But make a long story short, we cremated him, and then, my mom got a percentage of the remains or his ashes, and so did she. And, that was that. And then, back in April of this year, she's trying to still sue the Marine Corps for benefit, for the money. So I haven't heard anything about that as well. So
death makes people do very strange things, man. But I'm sorry about that. That's tragic. It's not only tragic in the fact that you lost your brother, and then you got some tomfoolery going on at the end of it. Is make the situation even worse. So, well, man, we've been going for a hot minute. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and sharing what you've been through, giving these active guys and even some recovering guys, veteran guys, things to think about, stories to reminisce on. I'm sure that the guys that were there with you, when they hear this, can kind of snap back a little bit. But I appreciate you coming out and being on the show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Great deal. All right, guys, that's it. So if you've seen something that resonates with you, make sure you push it out, and we'll see you next time on Choices Not Chances.
Well, that concludes this episode. Thanks for listening to Choices Not Chances podcast. Please share, like, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch our podcast. You can also follow us on social media at Choices Not Chances Podcast. Thanks, and have a great day.
Louisiana Gun Shop, your firearm headquarters, specializing in concealed carry guns, ammo, and training. You can get your Louisiana permit with us. Also a large selection of AR-15s, or if you are that build-it-yourself type of guy or gal, we have all the parts to build and customize your own AR-15. Glock, SIG, Taurus, Ruger. We have all the brands, both in the store or at LouisianaGunShop.com.
Not too far. You're marking a building. Hit him. Yeah, that's good. That's a good shot. That's money. Yeah.